Today we're going to talk about this pen, the Hero 360 Degrees. This was sent to me by Bill. Thank you, Bill. And he said I might be interested in reviewing it because it was pretty much everything I hate. It's a very fine nib, it's scratchy, etc. So that's that's very considerate. Thanks. I'll talk about the parts of the pen, tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. Now the first thing you should realize is that this is a pretty interesting pen, because it has a nib. That's the reason it's called the 360 degrees. It has a nib that will write in any way, so no matter how you put it to the paper, it always writes. Clearly I'll show you that in the writing sample. For now, let's start with the parts of the pen. We have the cap. The cap, I think, is pretty nice. This pen comes in a bunch of colors and finishes. I got the blue version, but I kind of like this chrome highlight and this slanted cutoff. I think that looks pretty nice. Overall, I think this pen has some pretty cool features. It has, for example, a spring-loaded clip. On a pen of this price level, I don't think that is particularly shabby. That looks pretty cool. It says Hero on the clip. I'm sure you can't really see that, but it is there, believe me. And then the bottom end of the cap, it says Hero in silver chrome colored letters. It says 360 degrees. Then it has 4 Chinese characters which I cannot read, and above that is 001. And this is not a limited edition pen. This is not the first pen in the series. It's just 001. I don't know why. Overall, blue, it is metal. Overall, I think aluminum or something like that. It feels pretty decent. You can't easily dent this, so it's quite hard. That's nice, because believe me, I have used cheaper metal pens that you could just dent with your fingers. It's not the case here. Nice tapered barrel, and then you have this lip right there. Cap clicks in place, posts fairly securely. I won't say it's impossible to pull it off, but it's in there fairly securely, as you can see. Then we have the grip section, smooth, I guess chrome or some type of chrome plating, or I'm not sure what exactly kind of metal it is. Then we have this step down. We have a little, it seems to be a, well no, it's just a little bit of a step down, not sharp at all. It's comfortable to hold. When I put my finger under it, I do feel a bit of an edge, but I've had sharper pens. Because the section is, well, quite long, I would say, it's fairly pleasant to hold. Then we have another lip there that keeps the cap in place. I know this won't really focus, but you should see the thing that sort of sticks out there. That makes the cap click, like that. And then we have the nib, and the nib is quite special. As you see that black part, that is, I know it's small, but I know this won't really focus, but you've got this black part there. That's the feed, right? Now if I turn the pen around slowly, you'll see another black part. Well, that's another, I'm not sure whether that's another feed, but it's where the feed usually is, this one has 2. And then you have the side of the nib, and again this pen will write on any angle. Of course you will see that in the writing sample. When you open it up, you see an arometric converter. You can take off this metal bit if you're not familiar with that. This is just a sack. This thing has a pressure bar. You push down on that like that, and then the sack is compressed. Put it in a bottle of ink, compress it, decompress it, and then it will draw up ink. It even has a breather tube, so they paid attention here, and they did well. It draws up ink. I've never been able to fill up these sacks completely in Chinese pens, but overall it seems to work well, and you know, just a few drops of ink will already allow you to do quite some writing. Screw this back in place. Now you have the parts of the pen. Okay, what do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Well, I like the concept. Let's have a somewhat more detailed look at this nib. What you should try to picture, I mean, think of a regular nib that has a slit, and then it has the 2 nib tips, right? Tipping. And that has a slit, so if you would put pressure on that, it would open up like this, right? Some nibs do that more than others, but that's the idea. Well, this pen has 4 slits. So it has it's like two nibs sort of stuck together. I'm not sure. Yeah, that really seems to be the case. Kind of like a Pilot parallel pen, if you're familiar with that. So you just have these two nibs like this, and you have a slit there and you have a slit there, and it will open up a bit like that. Now this pen is not particularly flexible. It won't really open up. I'm just trying to get you an idea of how this nib works. So it opens up like this. Now there are also slits on the sides, right? So they won't open up like this. They would open up like that. So you have almost, it's like 4 different nib tines that all come together. Now I don't think they're actually 4 tines. I think it's 2 tines, and they just made, well, on the other hand, if I look at this, maybe there are 4 tines after all. By no means is Hero the first company to have attempted this. You have the Sailor Cross nib, which is called Cross for a reason. It also has these 4 slits, or 2 cross slits, I guess. There have been other companies, but it's interesting. I think it's interesting. I mean, usually you can take a fountain pen, use it regularly, and then when you turn it around, put the top end of the nib on the paper, you get a thinner line. But often that's a bit skippy, it doesn't really work very well. With this pen it does. So it's nice you can do this. I would have been interested in seeing some more line variation, because if I would turn something around, then I would expect it to get finer. With this pen, it doesn't really seem to matter whether you align the pen, let's say how a normal pen would be aligned, or whether you put it on the side. You just always get a fairly consistent, even line. That kind of removes the interesting aspect of having a nib that you can turn around. I mean, why would you turn it around if you get the same line on all sides? I guess a nibmeister or someone who knows what he's doing could tweak this a little bit and would actually give you line variation in the different sides. But for me, I don't really care. I just think it's a pretty fun pen. I was surprised by the smoothness. I didn't think it was particularly scratchy at all. If I take a little bit of micro mesh to it, I'll probably make it even smoother, and then it should be a great pen. So it's a fun pen. It's fairly small. It doesn't have a very wide diameter, so it's easy to hold. It's a normal sized pen, as you can see. I mean, it's not small or anything. I think it's pretty nice, and that's all there's to it. So I think the best thing I can do is show you a writing sample, show you how this nib works, and that's it. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Okay, so here we go with the Hero 360 degrees ink. The nib is, well, that's of course a little complicated. Nib is, I would say, fine. Ink is, I think, Quink blue, but I'm not absolutely certain. Looks a little dark for Quink, but I honestly don't know. Let's start with some writing. Now, what you really want to see here, of course, is this revolutionary turning around the nib thing. So let me just show you that I can write like this. I can rotate the nib 180 degrees. It writes. I can rotate it 90 degrees. It writes. This seems to be, I think, the smoothest way. And then I can rotate it 180 degrees yet again, and it still writes. And any, even when I'm, turning around the nib completely as I write, you can see it writes under pretty much any angle. So I would say that is pretty impressive, because of course you can take a regular fountain pen and you write, and then you turn it around and it will give you a finer line, but as you can see it's much skippier. And if I try to write on the side, then nothing happens. So don't think this is something that every pen will do. It's really quite unique that this little pen can do it. Okay, how about fast writing? See if it keeps up. I think that's pretty good. This was a little skip, but the page sort of droops down there, so that's not a fault of the pen. This is the side of the nib. Looks pretty cool. What is smoother? This way you would usually align a pen with the feed pointed at the paper, or this to the side. That feels a little... I can feel the edge of the nib a bit better, but I think for me this is the smoothest way of writing. That's pretty cool. What about flex? Well, I don't think we can get any flex out. No. That's because of the way this nib is constructed, I guess. With the 4 slits. Don't expect any line variation. As to wetness, well, reasonably wet, I would say. You don't see a lot of white in this patch of ink. I'll turn it to the side. It seems to make it even wetter. So a fairly interesting, funny pen, I would say. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.